Hello and welcome everyone for the part 2 of the poem Grim and Gloomy. We have seen the recitation part in part 1. So in this part 2 we are going to see the explanation part. So this is the poem Grim and Gloomy, which is written by John Morris Reeves, a British writer. He is better known as James Reeves. So he wrote poetry, stories and plays. So in this poem, as we can say, he has appreciated and he had described an imaginary underwater world. So let us see stanza by stanza. The first stanza: O grim and gloomy, so grim and gloomy, are the caves beneath the sea. O rare but roomy and bare and boomy, those saw salt sea caverns be. So, in the first stanza, the poem Grim and Gloomy by James Reeves creates an imaginary pictures of underwater world where the inhabitants of the sea lives in a spacious, dark and gloomy caves. So, these caves are unpleasant and it some might feel very unpleasant and one we can say a dark in a way that makes one feel sad. You might feel sad once you visit that. So grim and gloomy means that. So these caves are beneath the sea, very down. Is having a lot of rooms. They are the sound echoes in that all the caves. Those caves are salty sea caves. So which are under the sea. As we know, the sea water is always a salty water. Second stanza: O slim and slimy, or grey and grimy, are the animals of the sea. Salt and oozy, and safe and snoozy, the caves where those animals be. So, in the second stanza, dear, we come to know about the poem tells about that these caves are the homes of the sea creatures, many of whom are slimy and grimy, and are slim and grey in color also. To them, the caves are safe and snoozy, which means that the sea animals in these caves feel safe from dangers and can sleep peacefully. So, these are slim and slimy, like covered with thick substance, as we can say. These sea creatures, they are sticky and dirty. They live here and they feel safe here. So, these caves are safe for these sea creatures. Third stanza: hark to the shuffling, huge and snuffling, ravenous, cavernous, great sea beast, but fair and fabulous, tintabulous, gay and fabulous are their feats. So, in the third stanza, the speaker tells us about the huge sea creatures and asks us to listen to the noises they make. However, he immediately lightens the mood of the poem by introducing a new concatenated word, tintabulous, which actually means sounds of bells, that implies the sound of bells, and talks of the fabulous feast of these sea creatures. So they enjoy a very fabulous feast and they are hungry. Sometimes they snuffle like they are breathing through the noise, making noise, and they are very hungry, they are huge. So in third stanza we come to know about the sea creature. The fourth stanza: ah, but the queen of the sea, the quarrel and perilous, see how the curls of her tresses, the pearl on her tresses sway and swirl in the waves. How cozy and dozy, how sweet drink a rosy, her bore in the deep sea caves. So, in the fourth stanza, dear, as you can see, the speaker imagines that the sea is ruled by a queen, a beautiful mermaid, who has a long curly hair that moves in spirals and sways in the water of the sea. The queen seems to have her own pretty resting place, which is referred as bower. Fifth stanza: O rare but roomy and bare and boomy, those caverns under the sea, and grave and grandiose, safe and chandish, the dens of her denizens be. So, in the last stanza of the poem, talks about this underwater world once again, about the caves, and emphasizes the grand caves of the inhabitants of the sea, that they are very serious caves, they are very peaceful and they are very impressive once you visit that caves. So there were, if you ever get a chance to visit these caves by school, so you can do that with scuba diving. At some of the places it is done, so at that time you can enjoy these places, these caves, which are very much, as you can say, impressive. So the poem is a beautiful read with its simple rhythm and rhyme, and is especially beautiful in the poet's choice of using appropriate words. The poet also creates new words from existing ones in delightful way, so as to form a rhyme pattern throughout the poem. So it's a very beautiful form, dear. Hopefully you liked it.